there's a message sitting in my drafts folder that has been there for 2 years, unread, unsent, and somehow still perfectly describing every single thing I never had the courage to say out loud. I started writing it on a Tuesday night, around 2 in the morning, halfway through a bowl of cereal I wasn't even hungry for. Because grief, it turns out, does not care about your schedule or your dignity. The kind of emotional reckoning that makes you type furiously into a notes app while wearing mismatched socks is not something anyone warns you about. You left. Not dramatically, not with a door slam or a cinematic speech, just quietly, the way a tide pulls back and suddenly you're standing there in cold sand wondering when exactly the water disappeared. And the worst part, the truly absurd part, is that I kept waiting for a reason that made sense. As if heartbreak follows logic, as if people come with instruction manuals and return policies. I never sent the message because I told myself I was protecting my dignity. But let's be honest with each other here, because that's what this is. You weren't protecting anything, you were terrified, and there is a humbling difference between the two that takes most of us about 18 months and one very awkward therapy session to figure out. The unsent message isn't a monument to your restraint. It's a receipt for everything you swallowed. Here's what the message actually says. It says, I don't blame you for leaving, but I do blame the version of me that made leaving feel like your only option. And those are two entirely different confessions that took me far too long to separate. It says, I replayed our last conversation approximately 412 times. Found a new thing to regret each time, and that number is not an exaggeration. It is embarrassingly, probably an undercount. Every person who has ever loved someone and lost them knows this cycle, the replaying, the rewriting, the imaginary conversations where you finally say the right thing and somehow the outcome changes. Psychologists call it rumination. Your friends call it, you need to go outside. And the internet calls it healing content. But whatever you name it, it costs you sleep and delivers very little in return. The irony is that the message you're composing in your head at 2 in the morning is usually more honest than anything you said when the relationship was actually alive. Here is what composing the message actually did for me. It forced me to stop performing grief and start feeling it. When you write something down, even something you will never send, you have to commit to a word. And committing to a word means admitting the feeling is real. And admitting the feeling is real means you can no longer pretend you are fine, which is uncomfortable, clarifying, and ultimately the only way through. Writing it did not fix anything, let's be clear, but it gave the chaos a shape. And a shape thing is something you can actually look at instead of running from. The lesson buried inside all of this is not about closure, because closure is largely a myth we sell to people who deserve better comfort than that. The real lesson is that you are allowed to have felt everything you felt, to have wanted what you wanted, and to have written the message even if it lives forever in a draft no one ever reads. And if you have someone in your life who left not just romantically, but in any form, and you haven't given yourself permission to write the unsent thing, consider this your sign that the process of composing it matters far more than whether it ever gets delivered. If this resonated with you, subscribe and check out all our other topics.